Third time's a charm. Welcome to our 11th episode of Inspiration with Ines. Today's guest is Nadia Colella, artist and tastemaker extraordinaire. With over 15 years experience perfecting her craft, Nadia continues to dazzle us with her delectable confections and her impeccable taste. Nadia has been known to create beautiful works that transform little moments into decadent memories. So let's bring her in. There she is. Super excited to be bringing Nadia in. Also an Ines bride. There she is.
Okay, I think we got it to work.
Third time's a charm. What would it be like if we didn't have technical issues, right, Nadia?
Yeah, it's always like that, right?
How are you?
I'm
How
good.
are
How about
you?
you?
Good. I'm super excited to have you as our guest today, not only because you totally blow me away with everything that you do. I love watching what you're up to. It's always so inspiring. But
You.
also because you were an Ines bride and an amazing Ines bride. So we've got lots to cover. I'm super excited.
Me too, me too. And it's so nice to be on here. Thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure. So Nadia, tell us, how did you launch your career? We always ask that question and I'm always interested.
For sure. So I feel like it's been over 15 years now that I've been running Nadia & Co. And ultimately, I think from a young age, I was always super artistic, a dreamer, my mom would probably say, always looking for something to kind of dream up. And I think that ultimately I found pastry at a really young age. I was in my early teens, and I'm so grateful that I found it so young, because not everybody finds that passion at such an early age. And I think that that passion is what really drew my desire and inspiration to kind of want to be a pastry chef and create really beautiful pieces. And at that time, I feel like there wasn't a lot of pastry arts. It was just kind of starting. We didn't have Food Network. We didn't have all these books accessible to us. So I think I was just really captivated by what we could do with sugar. And I was just like so eager to learn anything I could at that time.
I love hearing that. When I think about people that have been, I guess, inspiring, people that I know they found themselves at an early age. So Ines, you know, she started exploring with making her first gown when she was like 5 or 6. These are the types of things. Yeah. So I love hearing that it's something that spoke to you early on.
For sure. Yeah. And I mean, I definitely went on to study fine art. I did drawing and painting here in Toronto at OCAD. And I think that just furthered my knowledge and understanding of really how to be an artist and how to apply that into the world of pastry too.
Right. Well, I love that. That's a great start. Tell us further about how you merge both your worlds, both about your craft. How do you stay inspired? Where do you look for inspiration? You've been up to so many things during the pandemic. So yeah, talk to us about all of that.
For sure. So I feel like years ago, I really did think of them as two separates. Like I was an artist and then I was pastry trained. And I remember feeling a little bit confused in the beginning. How was I going to merge the two where people understood that the cakes weren't just a bakery cake for the most part, right? Yeah. So it did take time to really kind of master that craft and have an audience kind of be captivated by what I was doing too. And I'm just so kind of grateful that people really kind of took to it at an early start. And I'm always inspired by new things. And I think like over this last year especially, we've had to kind of look in more unexpected places to find inspiration because we haven't been able to really go anywhere. For me, I think like
so
travel. Yeah, and travel's always been a big place where I've found inspiration. And being home was kind of stale in the beginning. And then I thought to myself, okay, this is like the perfect time for me to explore new things, kind of captivate my audience maybe in a new way, because I never really put my face out there. For the most part, I was only ever really showing what work I was making, but never the process, never really who was behind the brand. And I really took the whole like last 15 months, I'd say, to really explore that option. And it's been really rewarding.
I love that. I love that. We had a question. How many cakes do you schedule on the same day? How many wedding cakes would you
Ooh.
schedule on the
Yeah, that's
same
a really
day?
good question. So generally, only as many as I can deliver because mostly doing wedding cakes or celebrations that are large enough where they would need a delivery. So my happy spot is really 3 or 4, and I've pushed the envelope where we've had like 5 or 6 before in the past.
Right, right. Well, yeah, that's a huge feat. And I also know you've done so much with holiday. Every time there's Easter or something, I know you're always doing something interesting. So tell us what's your typical day look like?
Ooh, so every day of the week's a little bit different. So okay, I would say like pre-pandemic, I was mostly in the kitchen 7 days a week. There really wasn't that much time for exploration outside of what I was doing for clients. And I mean, I really enjoyed that, but I did get to a point where I hit a little bit of a wall. And I think the pandemic kind of came at, I'm not going to say perfect time, because obviously it hasn't been a perfect time for a lot of people, especially small businesses and families that have lost special, members to them.
Mhm.
But it came at a time where I know I really needed time ultimately.
Right.
And I had the time to, be creative in a different way. So I kind of started painting again and drawing more, kind of styling flat lays and putting together how-tos for my audience, which I think people really enjoy because they can kind of see a different side of just the finished product. They see more of that process. And so now my days are a little bit different because I've been taking on some more custom commissions that are outside the cake world. So back in the world of kind of art and painting and things like that. I usually will save like Mondays and Tuesdays for working on projects like that because cakes have to be done closer to the weekend.
Hmm.
So usually I would say Wednesday to Friday, I'm now in the kitchen. Saturday, finishing up kind of last minute pastries. And then the weekends are really kind of dedicated to delivery time.
I love that.
Yeah.
So, can you bring us through, for our brides out there,
Mhm.
walk us through the process of a commission? So, what does that look like?
Yeah, so typically when it comes to a wedding cake, we usually start talking, I would say 6 to 9 months out is a great time.
Mhm.
I've listed on my website that you can reach out a year in advance. I just find sometimes, depending on the type of client and the type of wedding, at 12 months, people don't typically know what their whole day is going to look like yet. So I kind of like when we're a little bit closer because they've already maybe had their meeting with their florist, they know what their gown maybe looks like, and all of those design details are starting to come together. And that's really where I can get inspired based off of their day.
Got it.
Yeah.
And do you have anything in the background that you can show us? I absolutely love everything that you do.
Yeah, so I brought up one of the new pieces that we have in our ready to eat cake collection, and this one's called Tranquility.
Oh, wow. Look at
So
that.
it's
It's
kind of got like a stippled texture that we've done with icing. And then wafer paper has been kind of used in a way where it can kind of look like chiffon fabric. And
right.
then
Oh, wow.
magnolias. Yeah, and
Oh,
this collection is kind of new for us too. During the pandemic, I put together a collection with one of the girls on my team, and there are 10 different cakes that we've kind of curated. And they're not custom commissioned specifically, but they're using things that are trending right now and things that I'm just typically inspired by or crushing over. I've kind of put into these designs, and then my audience can kind of take them and change the colors or make small modifications. And these are great because there's only so many custom commissions I can take in a week, but we
right.
can squeeze in a few extras of these because my team is able to help execute more. So,
Right. Well, it's
yeah.
absolutely stunning. I can
Thank
just
you.
imagine that, and I think your work is just outstanding. Can we please talk about your custom-made InesdiSanto gown and how you, I mean, you've got such a unique eye and a unique vision. Talk about what you imagined for your wedding day and how you chose what you chose. And if you have any
I'm so glad
photos,
that you said that.
yeah,
Because I feel
absolutely.
like when I went into the process of wanting to pick my gown, I was like, I hope I don't have 50 million ideas that don't work well together.
They all did.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
okay, so I'll kind of give people a little bit of a background. I knew kind of going into picking a wedding gown, I needed something a little bit different and kind of show-stopping, right? I
Mm-hmm.
think that I'm like the one person in my family, at least out of my sisters, that would wear something the most different or eccentric.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that our wedding was going to have kind of a French Regency meets like Dutch still life painting moodiness kind of
Love
vibe to it. Yeah.
so well.
And I knew that I really wanted something kind of vintage inspired. I looked at a lot of Dior dresses actually as inspiration prior. I didn't even have that many wedding gowns that I actually liked saved. It was more so all these just old couture dresses. And I remember when I
Right.
came in, I really wanted to try on like a high-low silhouette, integrate something that maybe had a belt, and yeah, like it had to feel like almost like a Marie Antoinette, like modern Dauphine feel. It was really what I was kind of going for, and ultimately that's what I was given.
I love it. Do you have a photo that you can show us?
Yeah, so
Yay.
recently our wedding was featured in a special edition of Hello.
Yes,
Yeah,
yay.
which was
Love
so
it.
cool. Were you able
I
to pick up
love
a
it.
copy yet?
Sorry?
Were you able to pick up a copy yet?
I have not, but I will.
Yeah, I
I
think it's
did
on
see it
stands till like
online.
end of June.
Yes,
So
I did
you've
see
got
it.
time. So
Oh my
hopefully people
gosh.
can kind of see that. And actually, the bolero that I wore was something that I had saved that Ines had already made from seasons prior. And
Right,
I was like, can we sneak this into the design somehow? I love collars, and that was
right.
always something I loved. And
Yeah.
here's
And how
actually,
did you, oh, do you have more photos? Let me
there's
see.
one more
Oh,
there that people could kind of see. There we had bustled
wow.
it for the first dance, but
Yeah.
the silk organza was so beautiful the way it kind of moved.
Oh, I love it. I love it. We've got um, some great comments here. Queen, loved your wedding. I can't wait to see it in like the paper copy because I only have the digital copy, and I've obviously we've obsessed over your photos. Tell us about your cake.
Yeah, okay. So the cake was kind of a non-traditional, I guess, North American cake. In France, you would see a croquembouche as their traditional wedding cake, and that's what we had. And I think I always knew ultimately that I didn't want a traditional wedding cake. I always said I didn't even want a wedding cake. And then all of my family was like, no, 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 you have to have something.
Right, right, of course.
Yeah, it would be kind of odd if there
So,
wasn't a centerpiece, right, to show. So the
yeah,
croquembouche was always a pastry that I was kind of enthralled with, and it was, something really beautiful, and it fit in with the day perfectly because it had a lot of French inspiration throughout. And because that powder blue color kind of made its way through my dress and into some of the linens and things like that, we brought the powder blue into the tower as well.
I love that blue.
Yeah,
It's just so beautiful, and I think you did everything so tastefully.
thank you. Yeah,
I want to jump into one other question,
yeah.
which you may or may not be able to answer. But what
Okay.
new techniques or new ideas are you seeing that you want to maybe share with our brides, or that you are discovering or leaning towards?
For sure. Yeah. So I'm finding, especially through our ready to eat collection, like during the pandemic, I was really trying to pick up on things that were trending.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, typically for me, we do a lot of painted cakes because of my background, but I'm always looking for new things to kind of play with. And lately I've been playing a lot with rice paper, which I actually took a piece this morning and hydrated it for you to kind of show you the
Oh,
texture of it.
wow.
Because I think
That's
you had mentioned that you had
insane.
seen one that I had done in blue with it,
The
right?
blue one, that
Yes.
blue, oh my God. I was recently featured on your Instagram and I
Yeah.
nearly fell over. I loved it.
Yeah, it's so cool. So, I mean, this material is edible. We usually see it in like Vietnamese spring rolls for the most part.
Right, right.
Yeah, but I mean,
But
it doesn't really have a flavor outside of its natural rice flavor. And because we use it as a decoration mostly over fondant or on top of buttercream, it's usually removed before eating the cake anyways.
mhm.
And it's so cool. So you just hydrate it in like warm water, and then you can shape it and attach it
Wow.
to wires and things like that. So I'm actually working on a wedding cake for this weekend that has a lot of rice paper on it. So people have to stay tuned for that one because it's going to be really
And
cool.
how did you get the color to be blue? Is it immersed in like a bluish water? And
Exactly. Yeah. So I'll
wow.
take food coloring and add that to the warm water. And then once you submerge the rice paper into it, it kind of just naturally picks up the coloring, which is really cool.
You are so talented. I am so honored to have had you on our show. I think that all of anything that you touch, I think is always so tastefully done. So I can't wait for images of what you've got on the horizon, the brides that you'll be working with now that the city and the rest of the world is back on. So,
oh, thank you so much. And honestly, like having been even Ines' bride was such an amazing experience. And I think for me, like that's a memory I'll carry with me forever. And it's funny enough, my sister was an Ines bride as well. Many years ago, she wore the Monroe gown then.
Oh my God.
Love it. I mean, it's still a classic. And my younger sister always says, wouldn't it be cool if we all wore an Ines gown?
Well, we're ready for her when she is.
Yeah, once she gets engaged, so we'll be bringing her your way.
Thank you so much, Nadia, for taking time out of your day. Truly love talking with you, and I can't wait to see you soon.
Me too. Can't wait. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, we will talk to you soon.
Yes.
Ciao, Bella.
Bye. Ciao.
Bye.